in those days when we could actually shake hands with other people, can you remember a time when perhaps you were introduced to somebody and they shook your hands, but they were already looking over your shoulder to speak to somebody else who looked a bit more interesting before they'd even let your hand drop? No one likes to be overlooked, but the reality is that many people experience that over and over again in their lives. Passed over for a job interview because their name is obviously foreign, not getting the promotion that they deserve because they're a woman, not getting a chance because they're too old or too young, being written off before anyone actually knows anything about their character or their ability. Well, that would very much have been the experience of that Canaanite woman that we hear about in today's gospel. Even the gospel writer doesn't give her a name. Now, for this Syrophoenician woman to approach Jesus was breaking every taboo imaginable. She was a despised Gentile approaching a Jewish rabbi. She was a woman approaching a group of men. But then she was desperate. Her daughter was grievously ill, and she'd heard about this miracle worker, Jesus, who seemed to be able to heal the most seriously sick. But initially, Jesus didn't appear to want to have anything to do with her. "I've come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, not for Gentile dogs." But the woman wasn't to be put off. "Yes, but even the dogs under the table deserve the crumbs." Somehow or another, she knew that even a small crumb from Jesus would be enough to heal her daughter. Well, how would Jesus react to this response from her, especially after the way he seemed to have treated her in the first instance? Well, I imagine, and here it's a pure guess on my part, but I imagine that Jesus would have had a huge grin on his face because the woman had passed the test. "Woman, your great faith has been heard. Your daughter has been healed." It's as though Jesus has been asking this woman to affirm her own dignity, to assert her own value, and to make a claim to be as much a valued child of God as any man, as any Jew. Jesus' initial words, which are so grating to our ears, would surely have been a test for her, but also a tremendous lesson to those around him. If Jesus had responded to her request in the first instance, then the disciples, I think, would have probably been appalled, but they would have gone away feeling absolutely self-righteous. But this occasion forced them to realize that actually no one is outside God's sphere of love. And actually even a woman, and a Gentile woman at that, has as much, if not more, faith than they did. Interestingly, I was reading the other day that 50% of young people between the ages, I think it was 16 and 34, have logged into online prayer or church services during this present pandemic. Now, I'm not for a moment suggesting that that translates into Christian belief and discipleship, but it does indicate surely that there's a lot of people out there who we might normally want to write off as having no interest in religion whatsoever, who actually are interested to a degree and perhaps are searching for a sense of meaning in a very uncertain world. And those young people are very much loved and valued by God, and he just longs for them to find him in a real and a sort of personal way. Now, those youngsters probably feel that they don't belong in our churches, which, let's be honest, work for us, the more mature, who've got things largely as we like them. But God's kingdom should surely have no boundaries and must be made as welcoming and as open as possible. Which is why I think, in addition to getting back to, at some point in the future, to a more normal, regular Sunday worship in church, we need to continue to have an effective presence online and to make the most of the opportunities to reach out to those who would find it almost impossible to step over the threshold of our rather traditional churches. But I think this account of this Canaanite woman is a lesson for us, not only about inclusivity, but also about how we are to approach God with our requests. We are to come to him in humility. The woman fell on her knees to beg Jesus to help her. But we're also to come with confidence, just like that woman, believing that he will answer our prayers. She didn't give up when she got what seemed to be the most horrendous of rebuffs. Now, I don't know what perhaps you've been praying for over the last few weeks, few months, maybe for years. Well, surely the lesson from this woman is, don't give up. Let's always come to God, trusting that he does love us and he wants the very best for us, as he does for all people. And let's learn to be both humble, but also confident when we come to him in prayer, trusting that he will answer our prayers in his way and in his good time. Amen.